Hello, beautiful beings, love and laughter. This video is for anybody on their spiritual path who have been thinking about and considering getting an ancestral cleanse. I had one and I'm going to share my experience. So somebody reached out to me on Facebook probably like early December about this. And what she had to say felt pretty good. I wanted to do it, but the universe was putting some obstacles there. But I knew it was going to happen. And so I let it go. And then early to middle January, I was led to a video about ancestral karmic cleansing, and then I bought a little webinar on it, and then I started doing a free webinar series. I started doing some ancestral cleansing myself, and then this situation opened up for me to work with this person for an ancestral cleanse. And why did it call to me? Because I knew there was traumatic experiences in my lineage, because through my spiritual work I would pick up emotional ideas, thoughts, ideas of experiences that I personally never experienced. And I knew, I pick up some of other people's information sometimes, but this felt like it was ancestral energies, because sometimes I would get these downloads from this medicine man energy that I have on one of my ancestral sites. And so I started pinpointing from what I knew from my ancestors, from the information I was getting. I was like, okay, there's something here. There's not a balance. There's still some trauma there. I need some help with that. And so I did it. I went into it. I wasn't seeking this person out, but they came to me, and I felt like it was right, and so it aligned. And so I spent about a week working with this person, and it was a powerful experience. It was a lot of crazy energy moving up and down, and some of it felt mystical, some of it just felt like downright mundane stuff. And the woman I was going through it with, I felt like her and I were kind of working through some stuff, for her as well in the mix. A lot of times when you do energy work, healing work with other people, the person who's, facilitating it gets some kind of healing too, from what I've found all the time. It's probably why I'm very selective of, who I work with when I'm doing that kind of energy work. Usually I do it more by myself, but, I know group and personal one-on-one experiences can be powerful. So I just make sure that, whoever I'm getting on board with that the energy aligns, it feels good, it feels right. And so we did that, and I know I shared in some other videos, what I experienced through the process. A lot of back and forth energy, I felt like I was fighting with myself. A lot of money energy, having to realign myself, and then I would just veer right back out, and then I'd have to bring myself back and forth. It was kind of I felt like I was dealing with a mental patient in a way, but you know what? It makes sense, because, you got the old, new energy, and then you've got your lineage coming in, and you don't know what you're working through with them, But from the most part, I feel like I cleared out a lot of anxious energy. It brought my anxious energy down, way down. And so 4 or 5 days after, when the cleansing and healing was starting to wind down, I just got this huge sense of peace and clarity, and I could connect with my joy more, and I was connecting with creative, imaginative ideas that I had always had circling within me, and I touched on them before, but I never could like immerse myself in them. And now like all of that stuff is opening up on a bigger, deeper level. I feel like I can focus on things that bring me joy, like writing and connecting with topics and ideas that really uplift me in a different way. And so really what I want to share is the peace and the melting into life feeling that I'm really experiencing. Let's see. I really started experiencing that Friday. So it's been about 4 days. And I didn't know if this was going to be a feeling that lasted or if it faded away, but I'm finding that it feels like through the ancestral cleanse, it brought harmony with my lineage energy, and then it also just knocked maybe my anxiety and fear level from up here to like way down. Like, sure, it's always going to exist there a little bit, but it's way more easy to function throughout my normal day, like without getting bent out of shape with certain situations than I was before. It's like holy macaroni. So like something that would bug me before I had the cleanse, now I can kind of just take a look at it and just like, is that really worth my time? And 95% of the time, maybe 98% of the time, it's like, it's not worth my time. I just don't care. And that's huge. I think that's kind of the energy of right now on this earth too, with all the crazy energies going on. It's just like, let it all go. I don't care. I don't care. Not worth my time. Not worth my time. Not worth my time. Like taking a deep breath, sitting still, just be like, I want to put on a podcast that, you know, I appreciate, or I want to learn how to do this. Really what I'm getting into, which I was already kind of into, but I'm using writing a book, writing a story, developing characters and a world building as a healing modality. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm taking the ancestors that I did a lot of cleansing with who had traumatic experiences, and I'm using those traumatic experiences, and I'm going to write the ancestors into characters and use their trauma in that character some way, somehow, in a story. You know, I'm not going to be attached to anything in any way of how it's going to happen. I'm just going to have fun and play with it. And so I'm starting to play around with how I would develop that ancestor as a character. Because now I'm taking the experience I went through with my ancestors and anchoring it into my energy field, creating something different out of it. And so I've had other experiences in life that had kind of hardened me pop up now. And now I'm like, well, I'm going to take that experience of that person that, you know, pops up for me, and I, you know, had some experience with them that pops up in my mind from time to time about, you know, probably most likely a negative one. And I'm going to take that person, I'm going to put them in a character some way and use it as a story part or something. I'm just going to take these parts of me and my experience with people that are deep lessons for me and deep healing parts, and I'm going to write them in a way that I can bring forth in a creative way that uplifts me. That's really where it's at. And I already had a world that I was connecting with when I was pretty deep in shamanic journeying. Like that world building idea and energy already started unfolding for me when I was heavy into shamanic journeying. And so I think when I stopped doing those regularly, that part kind of just shut down. But it's a very active part of my magic, is world building and creating this inner world. And, you know, wanting to write a book, but also this idea of using world building for healing and creating my ideal life. You know, when we can harness the power of our imagination, I mean, that's kind of where the magic is. Up in here, we can get tuned in, tapped in, and really into that. I mean, there's no telling what you could do. And so, I mean, the imagination's your limit. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm getting back into that imaginative world building space, and I'm doing shamanic journeying, and I'm getting into that thriving inner world. And that's it. When that resonates with you and you have that active imagination that is visual and you can feel it, see it, touch it, and it's just all unfolding for you, that is your playing field. And so I've just been listening to podcasts about building characters and printing out sheets, and, you know, all these ideas of experiences I've had through my life are popping up for me to write ideas down and create characters around. And through that, it's just like, taking a deep breath. I've come home to something that's powerful and important to me. And so now that I'm starting to put my focus on that, the rest of the worrying about and pushing and forcing and making happen energy is just like, I don't even care anymore. I don't even care. I'm just gonna follow what brings me joy. I'm gonna transmute these experiences that weigh heavy in my mind into something beautiful and have fun doing it. And that's just where I'm gonna be with it. And that being said, I tore down my universe background here in my recording closet. And so now I'm gonna do something different. This is just kind of my standard backup one, but I don't really know what I want to do yet. So I'm gonna be playful with that. So the way my videos look are gonna change. You know what? I'm in the playful mood, and whatever this channel is gonna turn into will turn into, and when I figure it out, I'll figure it out, and when it's showing me, it will show me. You know, I'm just gonna have fun. That's just gonna be my motto now, is I'm creating consistently and having fun doing it. I'm experimenting creatively and having fun doing it. And the rest of it just doesn't matter. Because you know what? When you're in that playful, lighthearted, having fun mode, that's when the things happen. And I got away from that for so long. My wounding was owning me, overworking me, pushing me, pulling me. And it just withering away. Things get to be easier now. I'm just relaxing into the flow of life. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna see what happens with this sacred play. Started listening to books on tape again, because you know what? There's so many different levels of our senses that we could tap into. You know, there's how we're using words to write what we see, hear, smell, and taste. Being on this video here, using my words to describe experiences. You know, smelling things with your eyes closed, imagining things in your mind. You know, there's just so many different ways to bring forth beautiful creative ideas. And it's fun. And I'm remembering that now. I'm coming back to the fun spot. And I'm sinking into that. With that being said, I open it up to see what you might do with this energy. Like, where do you play with this kind of energy? What kind of imaginative endeavors do you do with your imagination? What kind of ways do you use your imagination to heal yourself? I know painting is very healing. I used to do a lot of painting back in high school and in my early 30s. But you know what? I find that there's a lot of different creative expressions, and I just thought for a long time, I was like, oh, I'm a good painter, so I just should stick with that forever. But I'm like, there's so many different artistic expressive ways, and I haven't really, other video has been one expressive artistic thing that I stuck with. And I still do like collaging and painting in some way, but I thought I had to stick with one way. But there's so many different ways. You can do whatever feels good to your soul. So what is that? Are you a painter? You're a collager? Do you do it all? Do you just dabble and play and have fun? You see what's going on? You write? If you're a world builder and you play in your imagination and bring things on the paper or onto a canvas, I'd love to share like or I'd love to hear about your process or how you do it, or any tips or tricks that you share. If this video excites you, go ahead and like it or share it, or if you're feeling called, maybe subscribe. But yeah, I look forward to sharing more with you. But I feel a huge sense of relief. Like I feel like I have more ancestral energy backing me up now in the work that I do. Like, for my protection and a lot of things, like when I'm going out in the world and I'm not feeling safe, I would bring in this beautiful, magical garden of really tall trees. But now when I put up my protection, I feel like I've got like a bunch of ancestors just hanging out back here in the forest, just smiling at me, holding my energy, and loving me as I move forward. And that feels really good. So if you are considering doing an ancestral cleanse, I suggest it if you feel called to it, because it really has helped me soften, to release and let go, make peace with ancestral energy so I can use them as allies moving forward to create the beautiness that I'm meant to create. All right, beautiful beings, I really appreciate you showing up to receive the message. Until next time, until the next video, love and laughter.